Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's 1 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get back started. Can someone take their self off mute to make sure you're able to still hear me and to see my screen?
I can see and hear.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to get into procedural responsibility. So we're going to talk about what you're going to be doing from point A to point Z. So that starts with the person coming in to apply all the way down to you sending the PE packet to DCH. So it involves several steps. Of course, you're going to be interviewing your applicant. That's either over the phone or the particular applicant is there in the office with you. And so the first procedures responsibilities that we're going to be looking at is dealing with if the individual is in the office with you or at your particular hospital with you. So of course, you're going to screen the individual like we said before. You always screen it to gametes first. Once you determine that they're going to be eligible for presumptive eligibility or determine that they can apply for presumptive eligibility, then you're going to interview them to grasp all of the information about them in their household and budget group. And you're going to complete the 632H. You're going to determine if those individuals meet the presumptive eligibility determinations and determine if they're going to be eligible or ineligible. If the individual is eligible, you're going to ask the applicant if they would like to apply for full Medicaid. But remember, if it's a pregnant woman, they're required to complete the 94A. So if they do want to apply for full Medicaid, remember to go ahead and give them that form so they can be filling it out while you're doing the information for the PE part of it. And then once you have determined the person eligible, then you're going to take the information that is on the 632, and that is the information that you're going to be adding to gametes. And we will look at those screenshots in just a moment. Remember to inform your applicant of the PE period. Remember, it's going to be the start date, which is the application date, to the end of the following month. So that's the PE period that you're going to be providing to them. And then within 5 business days from the date you've done this PE application, you're going to send your PE packet to DCH, and you're going to send it securely. And we're going to talk about what the PE packet, what should be included in your PE packet. And as a note, if you have a DFAS worker or someone that is housed at your particular hospital, not sure if some of you all do or don't, but if you do, please do not give them the full Medicaid application to process. Everything that you do as far as a presumptive eligibility determination has to be sent to DCH. Can everybody make sure your line is on mute because I hear a little feedback? I just want to make sure we have no distractions. So please just take a moment to make sure your line is on mute. Okay. So now, once you have determined the person was eligible, you enter the information on the 632H to make a determination, all of that. So you're going to answer any questions that that particular applicant has to address any questions that they have. And this is the information you need to be providing to them. Of course, remember, you're going to provide them in written what the decision was. So if it was approval, you're going to give them the approval notice, the 634H. Also in gametes, once you're able to enter them into gametes, gametes will allow you to print out a temporary certificate for that particular individual. You would need to make sure you print that out for that individual as well. Give them the copy of the HIPAA notice, except for the signature page, you keep that page. A copy of the notice of ADA Section 504 rights. A copy of that quick guide letter form that we've seen. A copy of the Understanding Medical Assistance booklet and the P4HB information. If they need DFAX information, you can give them the 1877 number, either the web address. And if for some reason they want their local office information, you can click on that link right there to pull up the county that they're in and give them that information. If you made a determination and the particular individual was ineligible, then you're going to let that person know, or those individuals know, that if their circumstances changes, they can come back and reapply for presumptive. They do not have to wait those 2 years, or either like a pregnant woman, she does not have to wait till she's pregnant again. That's only if they were approved. But if they were not approved, they can come back and have a PE determination made if their circumstances changes. You're going to provide them with the notice of action, which is going to be the denial 634H for all ineligible individuals, copy of the HIPAA notice, the notice of ADA Section 504 rights, and the P4HB information. And these individuals you're still going to ask them if they would like to apply for full Medicaid, because they still can apply for full Medicaid. Because just because they were denied for presumptive eligibility does not mean they're going to be denied for full Medicaid. We don't know that. That is DFAX to determine that. And vice versa, just because they were approved for presumptive does not mean that they're going to be approved for full Medicaid. That determination has to be made by DFAX. And on the 94A, if they're asking for prior months, they need to make sure that they request that. And that will be like question 12. I think it asks for if they have any unpaid medical bills. They need to make sure that they answer that if they're requesting prior months. And then within 5 business days, send the PE packet to DCH via secure email.
We do have a question in the chat that is asking, what if they have a pending case already?
If they have a pending case already, that is fine. It just depends on what gamut shows you. If you screen that individual and it shows that they are not active, or they're active on P4HB, or a case where you can do a PE application on them, go ahead and do a PE application on them, and you still ask them if they want to apply for full Medicaid. Okay, so anytime you do an application and you interview the applicant right there in the office with you, this is what should be included in your PE packet each time you send it to DCH. So this is kind of like a checkoff list for you. So you need to make sure that you are abiding by this checklist. So of course you have your 632H, and you should know what that form is. Your 5460, which is the signature page only. The 634H, and we need that for every individual that you made a determination for. So if there were 5 people in the household and all 5 people were approved, I need all 5 634Hs in there. If there were 4 people approved and 1 denied, then I need those 4 approves and 1 denial notice. So 634H for all individual ineligible individuals. Copy of the notice of ADA Section 504 rights. The 94A if it was completed, and if they had other health insurance, the DMA 285, and if available, a copy of the insurance card, the front and back side, and any verification that they provide to you all. So this is what your PE package should consist of when you send it to DCH. Any questions over that part before we get to the telefunded signature part? Okay, so like I said, there is another option to take PE application, and that is over the phone. So if your office decides that they want to take applications over the phone, this is the process that you need to follow. So it's basically the same process, but it's just going to be a little different, where the applicant is not going to be filling out anything, especially like the 94A. You're going to be filling that out on their behalf. So you're going to be filling out everything while you have them over the phone. So the first thing, normal, you screen the individual into gamuts. You get all the information that you need, interview them to complete the 632H. And remember, on the attachment A, this is where the attachment A comes into play. You're going to read those statements verbatim to the applicant, and they're going to have to verbally acknowledge to give their consent. Remember, that's that first question that you read to them to get their consent. Then you're going to make an eligibility determination to see if they're eligible or ineligible for PE. If they are eligible, of course, after you complete the PE, then you're going to ask them if they would like to apply for full Medicaid. If so, that's when you're going to get the 94A and get all the questions. Most of the answers is on the 632H, so you will have a lot of the information from the 632H, but there may be other questions that you may have to ask to gather that information on the 94A, but you would be completing the 94A while you have the applicant on the phone. Again, this is where if they want to request prior months, that they can request prior months. And remember, the pregnant women always have to complete the 94A. Then you're going to enter, if they are eligible, then you're going to enter that information into GAMIS for each individual that was eligible for PE. And if you are unable to add it to GAMIS, remember, what you will have to do is to complete the PE manual update process. Once all that has been completed, then you need to provide your applicant with this information. You're going to be emailing it or mailing it. However your office chooses to do it, that's what you do. You either email it or mail it. A copy of the temporary certificate and the notice of action for all people that were eligible. Copy of the 5460. And remember, on the signature page for the telephonic signature process, you're going to write either mail to applicant or email to applicant. A copy of the ADA Section 504 rights, and then a copy of that attachment A to let them know that you signed on their behalf. Inform them of their PE period time and answer any questions. And within 5 business days, you're going to email your PE packet to DCH. If you determine that a person is ineligible, again, remind them if their circumstances changes, they can come back and reapply for PE. And then this is what you're going to be emailing or mailing to these particular individuals. The 634H, which is the denial notice for all ineligible individuals. The 5460, the notice of ADA, and the copy of the signed attachment A, and then within 5 business days, send your PE packet to DCH. Now for the telephonic PE packet, this is what your telephonic signature PE packet should consist of. Of course, the 632H, a copy of the attachment A where you sign on their behalf. The 634H, either the approval or denial for all eligible or ineligible individuals. The signature page of the HIPAA notice, the notice of ADA, the 94A if completed, the DMA 285 if applicable, and then any verification that the, I'm not sure what you would get since they're doing it over the phone, but if they provide you with any verification that they provide. So if you need to take this slide out to have as your checklist with you, and the slide where it says a regular PE packet, take those 2 slides out so you can have it as a checklist. So before you send your packet to DCH, you need to check off this list to make sure you have everything that you need to have as part of your PE packet. Any questions?
Hi, Kunita. This is Sharon again. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to ask, so we enter in.
I'm sorry, you went. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we enter who is eligible. Now, do we still enter the members of the household that are not eligible, like when mom and dad are not eligible because they are, let's say, over income? Do we still generate the denial part in GAMIS?
Yes, and we're going to talk about that once we look at the Gamma screenshot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, so for the denial reasons, these are the 7 reasons why someone can be denied for PE. Of course, if they don't meet the U.S. citizen, national, or qualified immigrant status, if they're over the income limit, even after you've given if they have any pre-tax or 1040 deductions, you deducted those, and also even if you did the 5% deduction. So if you've done all of that and they're still over the income, then that's the reason why they would be denied. Of course, if they're not Georgia residents, not the appropriate age, and we talked about that, their age range between 19 to 64, and they don't have a qualifying a child, or they're not pregnant and not blind or disabled, so they will be denied for that reason. Not a former foster care child, not pregnant. And then if you have someone who refuses just to cooperate and give you the necessary information you need, because you have to have all the necessary information in order to make a correct PE determination. So if they don't give you that information, then there's nothing that you can go off of. So you will have to deny them for that reason. And these are one of the 7 reasons on the 634H that you would need to make sure you choose so they can know the reason why they were denied. And then also, like Sharon was asking, there will be a way that you can put the denial people into GAMIS, and these will be one of the 7 reasons that you would need to choose. Okay, like I said, this is the 632H. This is one of the forms that you will be audited on. So that's why I say you need to make sure you are completing this, and not your applicant. You need to make sure you're completing this. We're going to go through some examples of how to fill this out all entirely. And if you go to the next few slides, I go by, that's page 2. But starting at slide 77, it goes by each line, each field, and tells you exactly what you're supposed to put there. So if you follow these, it'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to put there. If you're using income, it tells you the types of income in the field type. You will have to make sure you use one of these. So these are just some abbreviations that I gave you. So if it's commission, C, earned income, W, other earned income, OU, pensions, P, and like self-employment, SE. Because you can't write the whole word in that box, so you can just use abbreviations. And then right here, the gross income amount, it'll ask you the frequency. You need to make sure you use one of these annually. Of course, that's yearly. Then bi-weekly, weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly. Okay, so I'm going to read the first one for you. We're going to go through the first one, and we're going to go through it. I'm going to tell you step by step of what you need to do. We're going to go through and determine the budget group, the income, and then we're going to fill out the PE application together. So don't worry about it. Like I didn't have time to fill out. Don't worry about it. I want us to go through this together. And then the next 2 examples, I'm going to give you time once we read it and figure out the budget group and the income, then I'm going to give you time to fill it out yourself. But the first one we're going to do together. So we have Map Hay, who's 46. He calls and wants to apply for PE for everyone. He lives with his wife, Paige Hay, who's 48, his daughter, Hill, 18, and their 2 mutual children, Chip, 15, Allie, 12. Mr. Hay states his wife is employed and earns $3,500 per month. He states he will file taxes jointly with his wife and claim all the children as tax dependents. They don't have other health insurance, pre-tax, or 1040 deductions. No one has been in foster care. So let's look at it step by step of what you actually need to do. So the first thing you're going to do, he's applying for everybody. You're going to have to screen each individual person into gamuts. So you're going to screen Map, Paige, Till, Chip, and Alec all in gamuts to see if they're active or not. So for training purposes, when we screen all of these individuals into gamuts, it shows no one is known to the gamut system. So that means they've not had Medicaid in Georgia. So we're able to go ahead and start the PE process. So we're going to interview Mr. Hay. He's talking over the phone. We're going to interview him to complete our 632H. We're going to also ask Mr. Hay if he would like to apply for full Medicaid, because that way we would know that we would need to get the 94A out as well and complete that form as well. You're going to read the statements on the attachment A verbatim to Mr. Hay, and he needs to acknowledge the statements and give his verbal consent. So you're going to complete the attachment A and you're going to sign on his behalf. And then you're going to make a determination for PE to see if they're going to be eligible or not. If they are eligible, you're going to determine what PEA category they're going to be eligible for. And if for the ones that are eligible, you're going to enter their PE into gamuts. In this situation, Mr. Hay did want to apply for full Medicaid, so we're going to complete the 94A on his behalf. And this is everything that you need to be sending him once everything is complete. You're going to send him the approval notice 634H and the temporary certificate that you print for gamuts for each individual that is eligible. And you're going to send a denial notice for each individual that is ineligible. You're going to send him the 5460, but you're going to keep the signature page and write mail to the client, mail to applicant, or email to applicant. A copy of the ADA and a copy of the signed attachment A. So that's everything you need to be sending to your applicant. Then you're going to inform him of his PE period and that his full application will be sent to DFAX for processing. And then within 5 business days, you need to send your PE packet to DCH securely. And this is everything that should be part of your PE packet. Your 632H, your 634H, the notice of ADA, the 94A, the 5460, which is the signature page, copy of the signed attachment A. Any questions over the steps? Can anybody tell me? You can type it in the chat or somebody can take their stuff off mute. What is going to be our budget group? How many are in the budget group or who's in the budget group?
So you have one response in the chat. Oh, we got a few more.
And what are the response?
5.
Okay, that is correct. It's going to be everybody because she's working, he's filing taxes jointly with his wife and claiming everybody as a tax dependent. So this household is going to be a tax filer household. So that's going to include everybody. Okay, now let's look at the income. Remember, Mrs. Hay was the only one working and she was making $3,500 per month. They already gave us the amount in a monthly amount. So that means we don't have any conversions that we need to do. Did they have any deductions that we need to subtract? Any 1048 or pre-tax deductions?
No.
That is correct. No. So their income stands at $3,500. If you have your income limit chart out, I want you to go ahead and get your income limit chart out. And he's applying for everybody. So the first A category we're going to look at is parent caretaker. We have a budget group of 5. Can anybody tell me what is the income limit for a budget group of 5 for parent caretaker?
$752.
That is correct, $752. Their income is $3,500. So are they eligible for parent caretaker? Even if we take the 5% off, are they eligible for parent caretaker?
No.
No.
That is correct. So that means nobody is eligible for that A category. So that means you cannot put nobody in that A category because they're not eligible. They're over the income. So therefore, the parents are not going to be eligible for Medicaid. Since they're not eligible for parent caretaker and Mrs. Hay is not pregnant, there's no other A category we can put them in. So that means the parents are going to get a denial notice. But what you can do is to look at the children for the next A category, which is children under 19. We have an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 12-year-old. So if you look at your income limit chart, we're going to look at the amount for 133% of the FPL because the children ranges between 6 through 19. So if we look at a budget group of 5 for the 133%, what is the income limit?
$34.41.
That is correct, $3,441. Remember, their income is $3,500. So are they eligible right now?
Not at the moment.
Right. So what do we need to do to try to make sure to try to see if they can be eligible? What do we need to do next?
Apply that 5% deduction.
That is correct. Thank you so much, Rico. We're going to subtract that 5% deduction, and the 5% deduction is $130. So that's what you're going to do, subtract that $130 from the $3,500. And once we subtract that, their income comes down to $3,370. Now we're going to compare that back to that income limit, which was $3,441. Are the children not eligible for Medicaid?
Yes.
Yes, so they're going to be eligible for what A category?
The children 6 to 19.
The children under 19. That is correct.
19.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you were saying. I understand. Thank you so much. That means that you're going to put in gammas, you're going to put the children in children under 19, all 3 kids in children under 19, and then you're going to deny the 2 parents. Are there any questions over the budget group or the income? Give me a thumbs up if everybody's okay. How are we looking, Teresa? Is everybody okay?
Yeah, the chat is exploding with okays. They're
Okay.
doing good in the chat. They're getting these answers too.
Okay.
Thank you guys for participating.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the information. If you have your slide and want to pull it out, you can, because like I said, we're going to fill this out together. So this is just the information that we're going to put on our PE application. So we're going to go ahead and fill it out. So don't worry about it. We're going to go through it together. So I'm going to read it out to you because it may be a little small for you to read. So at the top up here, this is always your application date. This should not show the first of the month unless they actually apply on the first of the month. So whatever date that they apply on, that's the date that you put here. So for this particular example, the application date is January 31st, 2021. So everybody go ahead and put that. Now, for the medical assistance identification number, I only need one number in this block. Whoever was approved for PE, you can put their number up here. It doesn't matter who number it is. I'm not concerned with that. But if somebody in this household was approved, that at least one of their ID number needs to be up here. So in this case, I'm not sure. I don't forget who ID number this was. Let me see. ID number was for Teal. So we put Teal's ID number up here. And the ID number is 12 digits long. It's always 12 digits long. So her number is 2, the number 2, and then 11 zeros after that. Or you could, if you want to make up your own number, that's fine, but it's 12 digits long. So the person that is applying, their information is going to go up here. So we have the applicant's name. His name was Map Hay. His address is 327 North Ashley Street. The city is Valdosta, of course, is Georgia. Zip code is 31601. And the county is Lowndes. So go ahead and fill out the name and the address. The telephone number is 229-999-9999. Doesn't matter about that. You can make up your own phone number if you want to, that's fine. And over here, there's two questions that you need to make sure you ask your applicant. Does anybody have health insurance? Yes or no? And remember, if this is check a yes, that DMA 285 would need to be completed. And then if they're doing the 94A, and if the insurance is through a job, attachment A would need to be completed as well. Have anybody been in foster care? If they say yes, then you need to ask about this. What state did they receive it, and what age did they leave? But if it's no, then you just check no. Right here is asking you tax filer household, yes or no, non-tax filer household. This goes back to our budget group flow chart to determine if you're going to apply tax filer rules or non-tax filer rules. So in this situation, this was a tax filer household because the parents were filing taxes jointly and claiming everybody as a tax dependent. So this household is a tax filer household. So you have to have the circle darkened in for yes for either tax filer household or yes for non-tax filer household. We've been seeing instances where people are they're darkening the circle for no. That's not what it's asking. We need a yes for one of these. Either yes, they're going to be a tax filer household, or yes, they're going to be a non-tax filer household. Now, if you want to put yes for one and then you want to darken in the circle no for the other one, that's fine. But I'm looking for a yes for one of these. Is everybody okay so far?
Yes.
Thank you. So now we're ready to put everybody in that budget group. We're ready to put them on the application. So on line 1 should always be the person that applied that you put up here. They should be on line 1. So go ahead and put Mr. Hay and his information on line 1. His name, date of birth, race, gender, and the relation is already populated as self. And then answer the question about the U.S. citizen, national, lawfully present immigrant. And his birthday, Map Hay birthday is 1/20/1975. The next one, line 2 is for if an individual is pregnant, you will put that information on line 2. On line 3, it doesn't matter the rest of the orders that you put the individuals in, that doesn't matter. But for line 3, I put Ms. Paige Hay. Her date of birth is 12/30/1972. Put her race and her gender. Her relation is a spouse. and yes for the U.S. citizen question. Now she's the one with the income, so this is the line that we're going to put the income in. So for the type, it was earned income, so you just put W. For the amount is 3,500. The frequency is M for monthly because it was already in a monthly amount. So your monthly amount is still 3,500. The pre-tax and 1040 fields are blank because they didn't have any. So the monthly net income is still 3,500. On line 4, I put the oldest next, Teal Hay. Her date of birth is 11/9/2002. Child, and yes for citizen, no income. The next one I put Chip Hay. Let's go back. His date of birth is 12/29/2005. Again, Chip Hay, date of birth is 12/29/2005. Put his race, gender, relations, child, and U.S. citizen, yes. Does everybody have that so far? Two is Allie Hay because she couldn't fit on page 1, so we're going to have to put her on page 2. The applicant's name is the same name that you put on page 1, and then the same ID number you put on page 1, you put on page 2. So Allie Hay, date of birth is 12/5/2008. Put the race, the gender, the relation, and then yes for citizens. Go back. Subtotal net income. So whatever you have in this column, this last column where it says monthly net income, if you have more than one income here, you would add those income up together and put it down here. So the only income we have is 3,500. So that is the number that goes where it says subtotal net income, 3,500. Number in the budget group is 5. Income level, I put 2 income limits down here, and that's the income limit for parent caretaker because we looked at that first. And then I put the income limit for the children under 19, which was $3,441. So that's why you see 2 separate amounts. This is for parent caretaker, and this is for children under 19. We had to subtract the 5% deduction in order to make the children eligible. So the 5% deduction was $130. So that goes in this field right here, 5% deduction. And then we subtract this 5% deduction from the subtotal net income field, and that gave us $3,370. Even though the parents were ineligible, the children were still eligible. So the only box we're going to check is eligible. And they were eligible for children under 19. They were not eligible for parent caretaker. They were eligible for children under 19. And then right here, it says, I have obtained a medical assistance application, the 94A from the applicant, and emailed it to the PE correction box. If they did want to complete the 94A, you check yes. If they decline to complete the 94A, check no, and then they need to put their initials here. If they said yes here, we should not see any initials here. The initials is if they decline the 94A. Your information goes down here. Everything has to be completed in its entirety. I need the date, print your name, put your title, and it could be abbreviated like mine's is. Telephone number, you can sign it a wet signature or electronic signature. The name of your hospital and the address. Name of the hospital and the address. And then the provider ID number. Since this was done over the phone, this is the sworn statement you need to make sure that you're reading to your applicant. And this is not signed because we signed the attachment A on his behalf because this was a telephone interview. Any questions over the PE application? Do we have any questions in the chat?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Does anybody need more time? If you're okay, just say I'm okay or give me a thumbs up and we can move on. If somebody needs more time, let me know you need more time.
We're getting okays in the chat.
Okay, thank you. The next thing we need to fill out is our attachment A because this was done over the phone. So remember, you're going to read these statements right here verbatim to your applicant. And then you're going to ask them this question right here. They say yes, check the box or darken in the square for yes. Come down here, check that box or darken in the square. You're going to print his name or the applicant's name, the date, print your name, and then you sign it. Okay, any question for example 1? Hearing none, I'm going to assume none, and we're going to move to the next example. Sorry to keep picking on you all, but you all only one have access to a microphone. So Pam, can you read number 2, please? Example 2.
Sand Ham, 17, comes to your hospital and wants to apply for PE for herself only. Sand is pregnant with twins due 9/2/21. She states she lives with her mom, Tan Ham, 51. Her mother works 36 hours per week and earns $17.50 per hour, paid every week. Sand states her mother has $25 per week taken out of her check for their health insurance with Kaiser. Sand nor Tan intend to file taxes, and Sand is not being claimed as a tax dependent. Sand states that she was in foster care in Florida, but she left at the age of 5.
Thank you, Pam. So let's go through our step-by-step process of what we're going to do. So first, we're going to screen Sand and Gammas, and we're only screening her because she says she's applying for herself only. Then we're going to look at and see what Gammas shows us. For this one, Gammas is showing us that she's active. It gives us her ID number. So if you want to go ahead and write that number down on your PE application that's coming up, that's fine. So her ID number is going to be the number 1 followed by 11 zeros. And it shows that she's active up under P4HB 181. So can someone tell me Is she eligible to apply for PE? Before we go any further, you can type it in the chat or you can take yourself off mute. Are we eligible to go ahead with the PE process? Or do we need to refer her to defects?
You're getting some
We
yeses.
need to fill out the form to refer to defects to be entered manually because she's active for for planning for healthy babies, I believe.
Not quite. You kind of on the right track, but not quite. We will have to fill out the PE manual update form, but we don't send that to DFACS. But we do go ahead and do the do the PE application. She is eligible to apply for PE. Remember, I told you people with Planning for Healthy Babies age categories 180 or 181, you go ahead and do the PE process to make a PE determination to see if they're going to be eligible or not. And then once you do that, if they are eligible, you're going to add the PE to GAMIS, and then you're going to fill out that update form to let DCH know that we need to terminate their P4HB case. So you're going to complete your 632 and all other required forms to make an eligibility determination. And if SAN is eligible, you're going to determine what aid category and enter that into GAMIS. And then this is where you're going to complete the PE manual update form, and it refers you back to slides 35 through 36, that's where it talks about the PE manual update process. And remember, in a separate email from your PE packet, you're going to send your PE manual update form along with the 632 to DCH. Then you're going to give Miss Sand, because she's in the office at your hospital, so you're able to give her this information. You're going to give her the approval notice, the temporary certificate that you print from GAMIS, understanding medical assistance booklet, the HIPAA notice, the quick guide, the notice of ADA, and then the P4HB information. You're going to inform SAN of a PE period time and that the full application will be sent to DFACS for processing. Then you're going to send another email, or you can send the email separately at one time. It doesn't matter, but a separate email. You're going to send your PE packet, of course, to DCH within 5 business days from the date of application. We prefer you all to do these daily because there are times that I've had to reach out to a few hospitals and to let them know that, applications has to be sent to DFACS within 5 business days. That's part of the responsibility as a qualified hospital participating in this program. So please do not delay in sending your applications. If you can send them daily, I prefer you to send them daily, but if you can't, you have at least 5 business days to send them. So you're going to be sending in part of your PE packet. For this example, we're going to send the 632H. Oh, sorry. Oh, go back. We're going to send the 632H, the 634H, the 5460 signature page only, the 94A, and she had other health insurance, so the DMA 285, and the notice of ADA. Of course, if she had the insurance card available, copy of the front and back of the insurance card. So let's look at the budget group. Can somebody tell me who's in this budget group? How many are in this budget group? Type it in the chat or either let me know, and Teresa, let me know what the answers are looking like.
Okay, we had someone that answered with 1. We have someone else who answered with 4, and we have 3 threes.
Okay, so the answer should be 3. It should be San and the twins. Remember, San and the unborn, San, 10 and unborn twins, so it should be 4. So whoever answered 4 should be 4. If we go back to the scenario, it says Sandham 17, she comes in to apply and wants to apply for PE for herself only. She's pregnant with twins, so we know that we have to count the twins. It says her mother works 36 hours per week and earns $17.50 per hour and paid every week. It says San nor Tan intend to file taxes, and San is not being claimed as a tax dependent. So that tells you right there that this household is a non-filer household. And since it's a non-filer household, for the child, because Sandham is considered a child, she's 17, for her should be herself, her parents if living together, any siblings under the age of 19 if living together, and the unborn fetus. So it should be her, her mom, and the twins. Any questions? Does everybody see how we got 4? If you pull back up your budget group flow chart and go to the box where it says non-filer rules, because neither one of those are filing taxes, and San is not being claimed as a tax dependent. So that means she's, we're going to apply non-filer rules. Hearing none, I'm going to assume none. So now we're going to look at the income. The only income they had was Miss 10. She was the one that's working. She's working 36 hours per week at a rate of $17.50 per hour and paid every week. So what we need to do is to go ahead and calculate out Miss 10's income. So you're going to multiply $17.50 times 36. That gives you $630. $630 is going to be the amount that you put on your PE application. Because on your PE application, it asks you for the type, the amount, the frequency, and the monthly amount. So for the amount field, you're going to put $630. Then we need to take that amount and multiply it by 4.3333 because she was paid every week. So once we multiply that by 4.3333, you should get a total of $2,729.97. And that amount is going to go in the monthly amount field for TAN. So the next thing we need to do is the pre-tax deduction. Remember, her mother had $25 taken out of her check every week for their health insurance with Kaiser. That's supposed to be, I'm sorry, all these errors. Let's put $15. So if you go back to slide 89, change that 25 to 15. So we're going to take that $15 and multiply by 4.3333, and you should get a total of $64.99. So now we need to subtract that health insurance from TAN's income. So if we subtract that, the income comes down to $2,664.98. Can anybody let me know if San is eligible and for what aid category she's eligible for? And if we need to use the 5% deduction or not.
I kind of lost track on something here, but I think she is eligible because we're using a budget group of 4, right? And and she's pregnant. So yeah, she's eligible because that would make it put her under the 4859.
Thank you so much, Rico. That is correct. She is eligible and she's eligible for pregnant women. Do we need to use the 5% deduction? Do we need to subtract the 5% deduction off of their income?
No.
No.
That is correct. Thank you so much. We do not need to subtract that 5% deduction because she's already eligible. Okay, so it's time to fill out our PE application. Does everybody have this part written down? Because you're gonna need this for your application before I go to the next screen. Anybody need more time to fill this out?
Hey, Anika, we didn't have a question, but we had a statement earlier on, and I wasn't sure necessarily how to address it, but one of our QPs was just asking or was stating that no income will be required since the patient was a former foster care child. I just wanted to point out that she left foster care, we said, at the age of 5. She wasn't in foster care at the age of 18. I just think that they were confusing their COAs, and I wanted to address that.
Okay, thank you so much. That is correct. Yeah, she was in foster care, but remember, to be eligible for formal foster care, she had to age out of foster care at the age of 18 or older. She left at the age of 5, so she's not eligible for formal foster care. She aged out of 18, then yes, we would possibly consider her for formal foster care and wouldn't count her mom's income. But since she aged out of the age of 5, she's not eligible for formal foster care. All right, here's your information. Go ahead and get started in filling out the PE application. I'll give you about 3 minutes. All righty. So let's get to it. Your application date is 3/1/2021. The ID number we have for San is 1 followed by 11 zeros. We have her name up here. Her address 111 Hope Street. That's Savannah, Georgia 31401. County is Chatham. Telephone number 912-555-5555. They do have other health insurance, so we're going to say yes for other health insurance. She was in foster care, so that's yes, but down here you're going to put the age 5 and then the state is Florida. Okay, down here they were a non-tax filer household because no one was filing taxes and no one was being claimed as a tax dependent. So yes is darkened in for non-tax filer household. San goes on line 1, so you're going to put her name, her date of birth, the race, the gender, and then yes to the U.S. citizen field. She didn't have any income, so let's go to line 2. She is pregnant. She's pregnant with 2, so 2 goes here. Her estimated delivery date is 9/2/2021, and then the name of the pregnant woman is San Ham. Her mom goes on line 3. So you put her name, date of birth, race, gender. The relation is mother. Yes for U.S. citizen. She is the one with the income. So the type should be W. The amount should be 630. The frequency is WK for weekly. The monthly amount is $2,729.97. Pre-tax is $64.99. Once we subtract the pre-tax from this monthly amount field, then you get $2,664.98. There's nobody else to put on this application. So for the subtotal net is everything that's in this last column. So it's $2,664.98. The number in the budget group is 4. The income limit is $4,869. We did not have to use the 5% deduction, so the total net is still the same, the $2,664.98. Check the box for eligible. She's eligible for a pregnant woman. Yes for the 94A. You put your name and information down here along with the signature. She reads this one statement, date it, and sign it. Any questions over the PE application? The next thing we need to complete is our PE manual update form because remember, she's receiving P4HB. So you need to notify DCH that that P4HB case needs to be terminated. So up here, you're going to put the date, which was March 1st, 2021. And remember, you always check or darken in the square for hospital PE. Then you're going to check the box down here where it says terminate P4HB. Print your name, your telephone number. Send this form along with the 632H to the PE Corrections email address. We don't have to do the attachment A because she was in the office with you. Any questions of example 2? Let me know if you're okay. Thumbs up. Okay. Somebody take their stuff off mute. Let me know you're okay.
You're getting some okays in the chat.
Okay, let's go to our last example. Mercedes Harry, 42, lives with her child Bam, 5. Mercedes is self-employed and earns $500 per month. She states she incurs about $100 in business expenses each month. Miss Harry is not expected to file taxes, and Bam is not being claimed as a tax dependent. So from there, can somebody tell me what type of household is this? Is this a tax filer household or a non-filer household?
Non-tax filer.
Thank you so much. That is correct. This is a non-tax filer household. They have no other health insurance. No one has been in foster care. Ms. Harris applying for medical assistance for Bam and herself at the hospital. So let's go through our step-by-step process. We're going to screen both Mercedes and Bam and Gammas. It shows they're inactive, but it gave us their Medicaid ID number. If you want to write those numbers down, you can. We're going to complete the 632H and all the required forms and make a determination to see if they're going to be eligible or not. If eligible, we're going to determine what aid category and enter that information into Gammas. We're going to give her the approval notices, the temporary certificates, the understanding medical assistance booklet, the HIPAA notice, the quick guide, the notice of ADA, and the P4HB information. Going to inform her of her PE periods and also that if she wants to apply for full Medicaid or not, ask that, and if she does, then we send that that application to DCA. We'll let her know that the application will be sent to DFAS for processing. Within 5 business days, remember to send your PE packet to DCH. And your PE package should consist of the 632H, the 634H, approval notices for Mercedes and Bam, the 5460 signature page only, the notice of ADA Section 504 rights. And we determined that this is going to be a non-filer household. So how many people are in this budget group?
2.
Correct. Thank you. The answer is 2. It's just Mercedes and Bam. So let's look at her income. Remember, she's self-employed, and she says she has about $100 in business expenses each month. So remember, I told you about self-employment. What do we have to do with the self-employment? Can somebody tell me or put it in the chat?
You deduct the expenses for the total amount that she makes monthly.
That is correct. So we're going to subtract her business expenses from her income. So if we subtract those $100 from the $500 she was making, then her income we're going to count is $400. Okay, so let's look at the, she's applying for herself and Bam. So let's look at the income chart for a budget group of 2. Are they going to be eligible? And if so, what aid category are they eligible for?
Parent caretaker with children.
Thank you so much. That is correct. They're going to be eligible for parent caretaker with children. Both of them are going to be eligible for that same aid category. You're not going to put the parent in parent caretaker and then put the child and children under 19. They both go into the parent caretaker with children aid category. All right, here's the information. Go ahead and fill out your PE application. Give you about 3 minutes on this one as well. And notice the note at the bottom, she does not want to apply for full Medicaid. Okay. So let's look at the application. The application date is 3/27/21. For the medical assistance ID number, it doesn't matter. You can put Mercedes or BAM. It doesn't matter either one. The applicant's name is Mercedes Herring. You're going to put her address, 12 Knoxville Lane, then apartment 2B. She stays in Ackworth, Georgia, 30144. County of resident is Cobb. Phone number is 404-666-6666. They didn't have any other health insurance and nobody was in foster care, so those are no. And remember, this was a non-tax filer household, so you're going to darken in yes for non-tax filer household. Mercedes Harris information goes on line 1, her name, date of birth, race, gender. Yes for citizenship. She has income, so her type is going to be SE for self-employment. I know this says gross, but for self-employment, we count the net, so you're going to put 400 right here for amount. The frequency is going to be M for monthly. Monthly amount is still 400. No pre-tax of 1040 deduction, so the monthly net income is 400. Nobody is pregnant. Skip line 2. Let's go to line 3 and put BAM information, his name, date of birth, race, gender. The relation is child, U.S. citizen, yes, and he has no income. No, there's nobody else to put on this application, so the subtotal net is 400. The number in the budget group is 2. The income limit is 457. That's for parent caretaker. We do not have to subtract the 5% deduction, so that field can be blank. And then the total net income is still 400. They are eligible. They're eligible for parent caretaker. And she said no, she did not want to apply for full Medicaid. So I'm going to darken in the box for no, and then her initials goes on that line right there. Your information goes down here with your signature. She needs to read this one statement, date it, and sign it. Are there any questions over any of the examples that we have completed? Are there any questions over any of the fields on the PE applications that you don't understand? If you're okay, just type in the chat okay or give me a thumbs up. If you need me to go over something else, please let me know. How are we looking? Go ahead.
Kanita, this is Andrika. It's a question from Lillian. So no need to add the FPL for BAM?
No, because we didn't have to look at him for the next aid category, which would have been children under 19. Since they are eligible for parent caretaker, that's the only aid category we looked at. So that's the only income limit that needs to be put there.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and continue on. So for the online process, this was asked by Sharon earlier, are we going to be putting denial people into GAMIS as well? And the answer to that question is yes, but it depends on if they have at least one qualifying member in that particular household that you are able to put into GAMIS. So if you are, you will have to put the qualifying members in first, and then you're able to put the denial people in. And remember, you're screening them into GAMIS first because you have to use that same ID number that they have. And I know a lot of times there are ID numbers that are being duplicated, and that's because the members possibly can have been approved up under a different name, or either the spelling of the name was incorrect for whatever reason. But when you are screening the individual into GAMIS, make sure you inquire about any possible names that they could have applied in before, because we need to make sure we can kind of deviate from all of these duplicate ID numbers that we're creating. We're not trying to create other ID numbers for the same people. So we need to make sure we inquire about any possible names that they could have applied up under. So like I said, you first have to have a qualifying member first before you're able to add the denial people in. So here are the aid categories that we went over. Remember, you have your parent caretaker aid category with children under the age of 19. Now, when you're adding the individuals to GAMIS, there are not two separate aid categories, but two separate numbers that you will have to put the individuals in for parent caretaker with children under the age of 19. So if they are eligible, like the last example that we just went over, Mercedes and Bam. So when you get ready to add them to GAMIS, Mercedes, you're going to put her in the parent caretaker, the adult of the parent caretaker, which is 801. And then you're going to put Bam, still in parent caretaker, but you're going to put them in the child parent caretaker, which is 802. And then the children under the age of 19 is 806. Former foster care is 852. And then your presumptive pregnant women is 864. Okay, so now we're going to look at GAMIS to see how to screen the individuals into GAMIS, and then also how to enter this information in once you have determined them eligible or ineligible for presumptive. So the first thing you're going to need to do, you're going to have access to GAMIS. So if you don't already have access to GAMIS, you're going to have to make sure you get with your PE coordinator so they can get with the specific person, the administrator, who can request access from Gainwell for you. So you will need access to GAMIS. Once you log into GAMIS, you're going to go to Eligibility and do an eligibility verification request. So what you're going to do is you're going to either put in their ID number if they already know it. You can search by their name and date of birth, and their social security number, and then you put a from and through date of service. Once you do that, you're going to click search. Once you click search, if we have any information on that particular individual, the information for them will populate here in the middle. It's going to give you all of their last demographic information we have for them, as far as their ID number, date of birth, their address, their first and last name, and middle initial, name suffix if they have it, and then their gender. And then up under here, it's going to give you the eligibility to show you whether they're active or inactive. So if it's inactive, it'll show you inactive. But if it's active, it will say active right here. And then right up under here where it says aid category, you need to make sure you look at that to see what aid category they're active up under. And based off of the aid category they're active up under, you need to follow the correct procedures that we went over earlier. Any questions about screening? Okay, once you screen it, then you're ready to do your PE application process to get to interview your applicant and get all the necessary information you need. Once you do that, you make an eligibility determination to see if those individuals are going to be eligible or not. Then once you have determined that the individuals are eligible, you're ready to add them to GAMIS. So once you are ready to add them to GAMIS, you're still logged into GAMIS, and then you click Presumptive Activations. The first part we're going to talk about is hospital presumptive activations. And then the next part we're going to talk about will be the pregnant women activation, because you're going to have to do them up under separate activations. So for parent caretaker, children under 19, former foster care, you're going to do those aid categories up under hospital activations. And then for the pregnant women aid category, you're going to do them up under pregnant women activations. Once you click on that, it may ask you if the individual has a Medicaid ID number, or if you know it. If you do know it, go ahead and put it in and press enter. Once you put it in and press enter, then it should pre-populate the last information we had for them. Right here is the chance that you need to make sure, the next screen is the same. Right here is the chance you would need to make sure that you update any information that needs to be updated for them. Some of these fields may be grayed out, so you may not be able to update that. One information that may be grayed out, it may be like their first name may be grayed out. So that is one field that you cannot update. So if it needs to be updated, you will have to complete a PE manual update form. But go ahead and review everything, making sure everything is correct. And down here, it's going to ask you Medicaid application submitted. This should always be a yes, because they should always fill out a PE application if they're applying for presumptive, or you should always fill out a PE application on them. Indicate if anybody is pregnant. If so, you're going to put the number of birth they're expecting and also their due date. The application date, of course, comes right off of your 632H. The application date and the determination eligibility begin date really should be the same date. The determination eligibility begin date is going to be already stamp dated by the computer, so that cannot be changed. So those two dates should be the same, because like I said, you should be doing everything the same day. Then you're going to choose the aid category this particular individual was eligible for. Once you have reviewed the information and it shows that everything is correct, you're going to hit submit. Once you hit submit, if the individual did not have an ID number already associated with them, then GAMIS will create an ID number for them. And that ID number will show right up in here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it'll show right here. And then the temporary certificate that you will need to print out is a hyperlink right here that says Certificate of Eligibility. Click on that and it should populate another window in PDF for you to print out their temporary certificate. Like I was telling you earlier, for some reason, an individual was approved for PE within the last 2 years, and they didn't tell you that, they didn't disclose that information to you. Like I said, you have to just go through the normal process and then try to add them to GAMIS. And if GAMIS recognizes that they've already had a PE completed within the last 2 years, then it should give you this error message right here, and that way you cannot go any further. So What you have to do, if you have more than one person that you need to add to Gammas, you're just going to go back through the slides that we just went over, starting right here, putting in their ID number if they have. If they don't, you just start putting their information in here, everything that you get from the 632H, picking the aid category and all of that. So you just complete these steps for each individual person that is eligible for presumptive. So you're going to put each individual person that was eligible for presumptive, you're going to go ahead and put them into the system first. So you just repeat that process for each eligible individual. Any questions over that part? Okay, for pregnant women activation, if you have an individual that you approve for pregnant women, then you need to go up on the pregnant women activation this time. So once you go up on the pregnant women activation, this screen kind of looks the same, but it's not really the same. Hold on one moment. That's the wrong one. It's supposed to be right here. So pregnant women activation is this screen right here. So you're going to enter their ID number. If they already have an ID number, you're going to enter that information in. And if we have that ID number already associated with them, it's going to pre-populate their information. If they don't have an ID number, go ahead and start entering the information in from your 632. Make sure you review all of this information to make sure that it is correct. Down here, this should always be a yes for a Medicaid application submitted, and then the application date. You're going to put what the pregnancy due date is and how many she is expecting. Once you review that information or enter it in, you're going to press submit. Once you press submit, if they did not have an ID number associated with them, it will be populated right here. And then the certificate, the temporary certificate will be populated right here. Okay, let's go back. For the denial people, this computer's going too fast. So for the denial people, remember I told you to go ahead and put their information in. So we'll put the information in for the qualifying people first. So you're going to put all the qualifying people information in first, hit submit and all of that. So you'll do that for each individual person. But once they have been denied, then after you have put in the people that have been approved, then you're ready to put in the people that have been denied. So you're going, if they have an ID number, even if they were denied, if they still have an ID number that is known to them, you can put that ID number in and let the computer populate the last information that we had for them. So you're going to enter in the information. Everything is from the 632H. You're going to enter in everything from the 632H. And then except, don't pick the A category, except the reason you're going to pick the denial reason why that person was denied. But this is for the qualifying members. Here's the denial members. So you're going to put all their information in here for the denial people. And this is where you're going to pick the reason why they were denied. And remember, you do the denial people last. Once you have entered their information in and picked the denial reason, you're going to hit submit. And then they too can be generated a certificate of denial. So if you click on this hyperlink right here where it says certificate of denial, you will be able to print them out a denial certificate, and you will be able to provide that to them along with the 634H denial notice. Are there any questions over the GAMIS screenshots?
Anita, this is Olga. Once you complete the denial on GAMI, you still have to complete the denial notice also.
Are you speaking, Olga? Because I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Once you complete the denial in GAMI, you can.
I still can't hear you, Olga.
For some reason.
You might have to type it in the chat, Olga, because we can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
No, it sounds like you're kind of far away.
Okay. I typed it in.
See if you can type it in the chat, Olga.
Yeah, let me see.
Okay, we'll wait for her to type it in the chat, but we'll go on. But type it in the chat, Olga, because we can't hear you. Okay, so for this program, like I was telling you earlier, there are performance standards that you would need to adhere by, and this goes by the hospitals, not by each individual person, but it goes, everybody contributes towards the hospital performance standards, but it doesn't go by each individual person, but everybody has a contribution towards it, because you never know when your particular application is going to be audited, but you will be audited at some point. Because when we're going through our audits, we try to make sure we capture an audit and application of each hospital staff that does applications. So if you don't get audited this month, doesn't mean we're not going to miss you next month. So we're going to we try to audit each person each people differently every month. But if you're the one that are just the only one that is doing application at your particular hospital, then, we have to continue to audit you until you have more staff on board. So as you know that you're supposed to screen 100% all of your applicants. So every time someone is applying for PE, you always screen them into GAMIS. For newly enrolled qualified hospital, it's none of you all. Is that once you become on as a new hospital participating in this program, then the first 6 months is kind of like a trial period where we don't count any errors against you. That's kind of like a coaching period for you all, but that's not for anybody that is on this particular line, because everybody on this line, your hospital is already participating, was already participating. You may be coming on as a new person. Don't worry about that, but your hospital is already participating. So in that point, I do try to give you some coaching time, even though errors will count. I do still try to coach you along. So, and I advise you, I highly recommend that you ask any questions that you have, especially if you're in the middle of an interview and you forgot something that you were taught in training, or you can't get your hands on the answer that you're looking for. Either reach out to one of your coworkers that has been doing it a while, or if you don't have a coworker to reach out to me, reach out to me to get your question answered, because I don't want you to just sit there and guess it, and then when audit time comes, it's wrong and you didn't, ask it when you had a chance. So please make sure that you ask any questions that you have, and no question is a stupid question. And it doesn't matter how many times you ask me, just make sure. I would rather for you to ask me 1,000 times than to get it wrong. So each month, what we do is we have a report that we pull from Gammas. So every time you enter in someone in Gammas, Gammas will capture that information. So we do a report every month to figure out how many people you approve for presumptive or how many people you apply that you put into Gammas. So once that report has been completed, then we look at that total number for each hospital for that particular month, and we take 10% of that, and that's the amount that we audit for that particular month. At the end of the year, we do an annual report, and that's when you will have to meet your accuracy rate. You should be meeting the accuracy rate every month, but it really counts towards the end of the year. So at the end of the year, where at the beginning of the year, we would take an average of the audits that you've completed for the previous year to see if you're meeting that 90% accuracy rate. And like I said, that stands for the hospital themselves and not each individual person.
Kanita, we
this
do
is
have Olga's question in the chat.
okay.
I did ask to clarify. Okay. So she wants to know that should the denial, the 634H denial notice of action, should that be completed before or after the denial in Gammas?
It doesn't matter if because you're going to deny or approve a person before you put them into Gammas. And that's another thing. Please make sure you're completing the application in all of the forms and making a determination first before you add someone to Gammas, because I've had situations where people are adding individuals to Gammas and then they're saying that the member left and didn't sign the application and all of that. And that is incorrect. Everything should be done on paper first. You should make an eligibility determination. Once you have made the eligibility determination, if they're eligible or not, then that's when you would give them everything that they need. The denial notice, it doesn't matter what order, because you're going to give them everything together. You're going to give them the denial notice or the approval notice, the HIPAA form, the notice of ADA. You're going to give them all of that as part of a packet. So it doesn't matter when you do it, but just long as you've done it after you have made the determination and the member has signed everything on paper first. Any other questions?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. So this is the audit form that I send to each PE coordinators each month if your particular hospital does applications for that particular month. And your PE coordinator should be giving you all this information to review, especially if you were one to be audited for that particular month. So there are 7 or 8 areas or 8 fields that we look at. So we look at the whole entire PE application. So if there's any fields missing that's supposed to be completed off of that PE application, then it will be counted as an error. We do not count the errors more than one time. So if you had like 2 different fields that were missing that should have been completed, we're only going to count that error one time. So it will be just an error counted off of that particular area. Did you have the right number of people in the budget group based off of what you said that the household was a tax filer or non-tax filer? Did you answer the citizenship immigration status question on the PE application? Making sure that they are Georgia residents. Making sure your income is calculated correctly based off of what we went over. If it was anything besides monthly, then did you use the correct conversion factor? Did you round? Did you put the people that were eligible, did you put them in the right aid category? And then did you enter the information into Gammas like you were supposed to if they were eligible? And do you have all the forms that we went over? Do you have your 634H? Do you have your 632H? Do you have the the signature page of the 5460? Do you have a copy of the notice of ADA? Do you have the DMA 285 if you said they had health insurance? Do you have the 94A if they said they wanted to fill it out? And also, do you have the attachment A if you did this application over the phone? So that's what we're looking for. And of course, we're going to put the initials of the person who actually did that particular application. If there's any errors from any of these areas, then in the comments field, then we're going to try to be a little bit more specific of what that actual error was. So this form is sent to your PE coordinators each month if your particular hospital did applications for that month. So if your PE coordinator is not sharing this information with you, please make sure you get with them and ask them to share this information with you, but they should be sharing this information with you. Okay, these are the fields that I just went over. Gave you this information earlier, so if your applicant needs to know DFACS's contact information, you can give them that information that's listed here. Remember, this is the web portal's web address. So this is where you're going to log in to enter your PE applications. This is where you're going to get some of your forms if you need them. This is also where you can order your medical assistance booklet by downloading the DMA 292 form, completing it, and sending it to Gainwell. This is also where it's housed the hospital PE manual update policy manual. And this policy manual is updated every quarter. So we have a new quarter coming up for October 1st, so it will be updated for October. Anything that we update in the manual, it will be in front of the manual to give you like a change log of what was actually updated. If you need any of the forms that we went over today, we don't actually have access. We're able to print everything out and send it to you all the time. So therefore, that's why I sent you the training material. So that training material houses all the application and the forms that you need. So you can continue, you can save them on your desktop or wherever you want to save them and continue to print off of that once you complete it, you know, for that particular individual or individuals. If you need other forms or whatever to print out, then you can always go to the web portal to print them out. And the forms that you can print out from the web portal are the PE application, the notice of action, the HIPAA, the DMA 285, the PE manual update form, the SSI pregnant women update form. I think the DMA 635, the attestation of pregnancy is on there. The quick guide. Those are the forms that can be printed off. If you need copies of the 94A, you can continue to print off of the ones that I have provided you with. Or if you need the little booklets, because DFACS does print them out in booklets. So if you need those, let me know, and I will give you the person to contact at DFACS to get copies of those. And then, like I said, I told you how to order the understanding booklets. So for this is just for informational purposes. So right now for people that apply for full Medicaid, if DFACS determines that they're not eligible for any Medicaid, then DFACS will refer them to the FFM. Everything that you've received today has been policy-wise. So we're the department that handles the policy for the Medicaid program. So if you're having issues with billing or you're having issues with claims or anything of that nature, then that is handled by another department. So what you would do is to reach out to the Provider Contact Center at Gainwell Technologies. They have the phone number that you can use, or either you can go on the website and use the web portal contact feature and fill out a form, and then someone will reach back out to you. So if you have any billing or claiming issues, please make sure you're reaching out to the Provider Contact Center. Okay, The next two slides are for my new employees only. For my veteran workers, you have nothing else to do after this training because this training was just a refresher for you. So you don't have to sign a sign-in sheet or anything of that nature. I'm going to, before everybody leaves, I'm going to download the participants list to actually see who was here. But for my new employees, if you've taken this training, this is your very first time taking this training, then remember I told you, you will have to take an assessment and pass it with the 80% or higher. So for my new employees, if you need your assessment, everybody that is new, they're going to need their assessment because I did not include it in the training material. So to get your assessment, you're going to have to send me an email right after this training to let me know that you attended training. Then I'm going to reply back to you with your assessment. Okay? So all new employees, this is how you get your assessment. So don't say, well, Kanita, did you send me my assessment? Or I didn't get my assessment. Where can I get it? This is how you get your assessment. Send me an email and I'm going to reply back to you with your assessment. Then once you get your assessment, you're going to complete your assessment. In the training material email, there was a sign-in sheet that you need to complete. There's also the provider agreement and the statement of completion form you need to complete. And that statement of completion form, remember, you and your PE coordinator need to sign that. And then everything, once you have everything together, you have completed everything, please send me one email with everything attached to it. You can send it or your PE coordinator can send it, but I need everything completed in its entirety before you send it to me. So don't send me your assessment in one email. Then later on, you want to send me your sign-in sheet and send me everything at one time because I get a lot of emails that'll help me keep up with everything. So once you have everything completed, send me everything in one email. There's really not a due date for this, but since the information is really fresh on your mind right now, I highly recommend you do it within the next few days or so you can make sure you don't lose that information. So go ahead and send me an email so you can go ahead and get the assessment back and you can start working on it while the information is still fresh on your mind. I'm always here for you for this program. This goes for my veteran workers as well as the new employees. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Do not ask defects about this process or anything like that. Please make sure you're reaching out to me or either utilize your PE coordinators or either your other coworkers that have been doing this program as well. If you need to reach me, try to reach me by my email first. And then if you can't get me, then you can try my office or my cell number. And please do not give out my information to members. If there's an issue with a member about their Medicaid, you reach out to me to let me know what the situation is. Let me investigate to see what's going on. And then if I need to contact the member, then I'm going to possibly get the member's contact information from you. So please do not give out my contact information. If for any reason I'm out of the office, then Ms. Fair, I told you earlier, she is the healthcare program consultant from Women's Health. So we work hand in hand. I'm her backup, she's my backup. So anytime I'm out of the office, my out of office, reply will be on. So if you have any questions when I'm out of the office, you're more than welcome to reach out to Ms. Fair. And again, please do not give out her contact information either. So this concludes the training for hospital presumptive eligibility for today. Do I have any questions before I let you all go?
I just have one question, Kanita. This is Pam.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if we have the statement that we read over the phone in Spanish.
The attachment A or the sworn statement on the PE application?
The appendix, the HPE Appendix A.
Yes, we have that in Spanish. Let me write your name down and I can send it to you right after this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I
Oh, I'll
appreciate,
just send it out to everybody because I have to make a couple of updates to the PowerPoint. So I'll
okay,
just include that in the email when I send out the PowerPoint.
okay, thank you. And thank you for your time today.
No problem. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. Are there any other questions? So before everybody go, let me go ahead and download the participants list. Hold on one moment. Well, I really appreciate you all participating in this training today, whether you had access to a mic or not. I really appreciate the feedback you all giving me, and I just really appreciate your time. And don't think that your hard work goes unnoticed. It does not. I really appreciate everything that you do, especially in the times that we're having. You continue to serve our citizens of Georgia, making sure that they get the health coverage that they need in order to go and get the medical services that they need. So I really appreciate your hard work during these times. You all continue to stay safe. And like I said, if you need me, please, please, please reach out to myself or Miss Fair. If there are no other questions, you're dismissed and have a great day. And I'll stay on the line for a couple more minutes if you have anything that you need to ask me.